Marvel decided to give Johnny Storm his own solo adventures in their Strange Tales anthology magazine in 1962. But for some reason, they decided to give Johnny a secret identity in these stories, even though his identity was public knowledge over in the Fantastic Four book. In fact, in Fantastic Four #1, we even see him flame on in front of some of his high school friends. But Stan Lee thought of that and let us know that all four of them have since graduated and moved away, so his identity remains a secret. In Strange Tales #101, Johnny has to flame on to rescue a safety inspector from a sabotaged roller coaster. In need of cover, he uses his pyrokinesis to draw a huge amount of smoke from a nearby spectator's cigarette lighter, so he can transform unseen. Later in the issue, he shoots fireballs from his fingertips to distract a crowd so he can get out of sight. And when it's time to flame off, he sends out an illusory clone of himself to draw attention for himself so he can transform quietly. Afterwards, he's caught in a trap that douses his flame. Johnny doesn't wear a mask, so he would have been exposed, but a group of passing teenagers cause the villainous destroyer to run off. Johnny then pretends that he, like the other teens, had come looking for the torch, to convince them that he's not the torch, which they buy for some reason. In issue #102, the genius inventor known as the Wizard resolves to prove his superiority by defeating Johnny. But first he has to find it. After tricking Johnny, the Wizard is able to douse his flame, but conveniently, Johnny's flame remains around his face. I don't think there's ever another situation like this. The Wizard even challenges Johnny to a fist fight, warning that he'll reveal his identity if he flames off. In issue #103, Johnny fights the evil dictator of the Fifth Dimension, so his secret identity isn't very important. We do get this final panel, though, where he remarks on the irony of his teacher's statement about his daydreaming in another world. In issue #104, Johnny privately laments during a trip to the bank that if his identity ever got out, he'd never get any privacy. Soon afterwards, the villainous Paste Pot Pete attacks the bank. Johnny can't flame on in the crowded bank, of course, so he shoots a thin stream of flame out of his finger, and then turns it into a fully independent, illusory clone of himself, which chases Pete and leaves an invisible trail for Johnny to follow. Yeah, it's a weird story, or I suppose you could say it's a strange tale. In issue #105, Johnny actually willingly flames off in front of the Wizard in order to rescue Sue from a trap. He seems oddly unconcerned about revealing his face for once. Finally, in issue #106, Johnny lands in an alleyway to change out of his torch costume, and a couple of teenagers spot him. Then, on the next page, Johnny meets the acrobat who addresses him as the Torch. Sue tells him everyone in town knew his identity all along. They were just playing along to respect his privacy. So, why'd they bring this to an end so quick? What was the point of it all, if they were just going to drop it after just 5 issues? Well, I had a hunch, so I dug through some old scans of Fantastic Four letters pages, and I was right. They dropped the secret identity so quickly because they kept getting fan letters saying it was stupid.